Hello, Obooters from around the world. My name is Kais, and I'm 12 years old, and I live in Montreal, Canada. Welcome to our Oboot Zoom session, where me and my friends at Kells Academy in Montreal will be interviewing our guest changemaker, Margaret Koshal. Margaret is a community mobilizer and a strong advocate for girls' education. She is joining us today with her son, Lemara, who is 11 years old, to talk to us about the Nashulai, the first community-owned conservancy in the Maasai Mara in Kenya. Nashulai Conservancy project is focused on 1, conserving wildlife, 2, preserving culture, and 3, reversing poverty, and as such, it is in alignment with most of the Sustainable Development Goals. We will ask questions to Margaret about her background, her journey, her work, her skills, and her impact. We are also excited about getting to know Lemara as well. We hope that you'll enjoy this session, and I'll now start with our first question to our guest. Can you please tell us a little bit about you and what you do for work?
Okay, so hi guys. My name is Maggie from Kenya, from a southern part in Kenya called Maasai Mara. Maasai Mara is very famous for wildlife, and it's south of Nairobi. Nairobi is the capital city of Kenya. And what I do, and I happen to come from a community called the Maasai. The Maasai people are famous. They used to hunt down lions with a spear and their bare hands. They are people that preserve their culture. They put on, they have a very special dress code, a Maasai shuka, and some jewelry. So the Maasai people are very colorful people. That is what they wear for a dress code. And when it comes to my work, I work at the same conservancy. It's Nashulai Maasai Conservancy, which is actually a space whereby we conserve wildlife, reverse poverty, and we coexist with the animals. And what I do within the conservancy is I am a family, gender, and education director within the conservancy. So my job entails projects to do with women, projects to do with the girl child, projects like, for example, when you want to lead a community, in, for example, one project we did, river restoration. So I spearhead such projects. Yes, so that is what my job is all about.
Thank you.
Welcome.
You're welcome.
What type of animals are in your reserve?
I see. So where we are right now, we are at the middle of the conservancy, and the common animals, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. So the animals found around this area for sure are the big 5. When I talk of the big 5, we talk of lion being one of those. We talk of a rhino. A rhino is one of them. We talk of a buffalo. It's equally around. We talk of an elephant, and we talk of a leopard. Those are the 5, the big 5. Those are very famous animals in the area, although we have commons around also. We have cheetahs, we have impala, we have elands, we have hyenas, we have silverback jackals. So it's a variety of wildlife roaming, no fences. They roam freely.
Okay, thank you.
Most welcome.
You're welcome.
Hi, my name is Mani, and my question is, how do you protect the animals there?
Okay, thank you so much for your question. This is how we protect our animals. We have game rangers to patrol the land. So these game rangers will go by car or by motorbike, and they will do something called a patrol. They will get to know where the lions are. Like yesterday, 2 p.m. in the afternoon, some rangers came back home to the office, and they said that there are 2 big male lions. So we drove to the spot and we found lions. So they protect them that way. And their predators, well, you cannot really protect the animals from normal predators. Like, for example, lions have to feast on zebras and, you know, whatever else they kill for a living. We protect them from poachers. There are people who are bad and they kill something like an elephant for their tusks so that it can be sold for ivory. So the rangers protect these animals from poachers. They're the people going on patrol and protecting them with their lives. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
You're most welcome.
So how do you acquire food? How do you get food?
How do we get food, or how do the animals get food, the wildlife?
You guys get food.
Awesome. So Narok, we live in a county by the name Narok, and this is a town with buildings, with supermarkets. People in this area do farming. They will do vegetables. And so this town, Narok, is a common market for everybody. So some people will bring down food to the villages, into the markets, and they will sell these. So people will either go to Narok town or to go to the local market and they purchase food. But one thing that you should know about the Maasai, their delicacy is meat from their livestock, because the Maasai keep cattle, sheep, and goats. And so their delicacy is meat, milk, and blood. The Maasai people eat raw blood, or they cook it. So that is the Maasai delicacy, although lately people feed on, you know, vegetables, they feed on rice, just anything that you will eat in Montreal, you know, some rice, some pasta, some mincemeat, meatballs, you know. Yeah, all this is available, but then you go to the town and buy.
Thank you.
Welcome.
In conjunction to the previous question, I'm wondering how, I'm sure the diet of the Maasai people have changed as you know, supermarkets have become more broadly available, and I'm wondering how this has impacted diets or lifestyle, and whether there are initiatives to conserve and maintain, like the lifestyle of maintaining livestock or educating younger generations in this style of farming and cultivating and relationship to land and food.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you very much for your question. And so, as I mentioned earlier, that the Maasai people had a diet that was, you know, that was a diet they, you know, stuck with for such a long time, until civilization, school, you know, towns came up, supermarkets, and all these kind of foods that they were not used to. You see, they used to drink milk, which is very rich in its whole, you know, it had all the nutrients in it. They used to eat their meat, they used to drink blood, but then, you know, civilization came, supermarkets came along, and they started eating pretty much what everyone say people from the West will eat. And there's a bit of a challenge, because when you talk of, you know, the food being eaten by most of the people, the question comes in, you know, how balanced is it? You know, are you having your protein, your starch, your vitamins? The question then came up about, and cases like obesity, you know, people started getting obese by what they eat. And what we are doing at the Conservancy is, what I'm doing with the women is, we are we're planning for sessions, and we will discuss topics like nutrition. we tell them how to go about it. How then should you balance your food? What's healthy for you? What's not healthy for you? And again, we added onto that, we train the women how to have their little kitchen gardens behind their, behind their kitchens or their houses. And so they have begun putting vegetables like kale, tomato, onion, butternut squash. And so that way we are sensitizing, such a topic of nutrition by showing them how to do it, so that even if they're eating something different from what they're used to, they're eating well and they're having it balanced. And of course, when it comes to lifestyle, old people or the Maasai people who are very slender and fit because of their diet, they used to walk a long distance, to take care of their livestock, to fetch water, to fetch firewood. And things have changed now. Education has set in, people have gone to school, people want to live a life that they were not used to. They will build decent houses, a kitchen in it with gas, no need of firewood again, piped water. Some of them, although the majority still live in that life that they know. And so again, we're having problems with diseases that come up with lifestyle. Diabetes is common, blood sugars are going high. So we're having such sessions with women to sensitize, and to teach them how to feed their families right. So such plans are underway, and this has really helped. And then as you know that one of our missions is to preserve culture. We're telling people that it's still good that you preserve your culture, that you try and live, anything that's not harmful or on how you used to live, maintain that, because it's not everything that is introduced to you. It's not everything that's new that is going to be of help. So they're maintaining their culture, they are doing those healthy practices, and we're trying to balance. And so far, so good. It looks good.
Thank you very much.
Hi, my name's Maya. On the reserve, are the animals used to the people that drive around?
Hi, Maya. Thank you for your question. And if I got it right, are you asking about the animals? I quite didn't get it. Do you mean that you're asking if animals are driven around or if they come around? I quite didn't get it.
No, the people that are making sure no hunters come. Are they the animals? Most animals used to the people driving around. Are they used to the people?
Oh,
yeah.
Can you answer that, Lemara?
Yeah, pretty much when the guards try to come and protect at first, probably they're not used to the guards, but they get to come and they get used to the guards coming every day to make sure they're safe.
Yeah, so what happens is that when people do game drives in Maasai Mara National Reserve and inside our conservancy, there's a distance that we keep from wildlife. This is because when you get so close, you make them uncomfortable, and that's not exactly what we want. We take care of the distance, yet we get close because we want to, get close to an animal, see its behavior, just get to see it. But there's a distance. You're not supposed to get so close, but you're allowed to drive around.
Thank you.
Did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
You're most welcome, Maya.
I'd like, and I would want to know, how do you get the currency, and what is the currency there, and what jobs do you have there?
Okay. So the currency used in Kenya is called Kenya shillings. We use shillings, and they are called the Kenya shillings. Although we have forex bureaus, and the rest of the currencies like the US dollar, the Canadian dollar, we have such forex bureaus. You can still, for example, people working in the tourism business, if a client comes and they want to pay them in, US dollars or Canadian dollars or Norwegian krona, they can pay you with that for as long as you calculate it and get to know how much that is in Kenya shillings. And then you can always go to a forex bureau, change your money, and you have your Kenya shillings.
So recently in our class here in Quebec, we have a course called ERC, which stands for Ethics and Religious Culture. And we have begun looking at stories from various cultural traditions and their importance in passing on values and norms. And so perhaps Amina, you'd like to ask a question about that?
My name is Amina. What are some of your traditions and how is it important to you?
What are some of our traditions and what else?
And how is it important to you?
Okay, thank you very much. So for the Maasai people, some of our traditions are, for example, something called, teamwork, for example. Teamwork is a tradition. Why am I saying this? People live in a community. People live together. And it's very important that they do things together, that, they do things as a teamwork. Another tradition is that everyone who is a grown-up versus, anyone who is of age, any parent, for example, Lemara is my child, and then it happens that someone else is there with their child. I am free. Children are brought up communally. That's a tradition here. So meaning anyone can discipline Lemara, anyone can counsel them, anyone can guide them. And that is one good tradition because then it's an entire village, raising up children, which I think is very good because when you look at, for example, the cities, people are living in, people are living in enclosed spaces. People don't interact much. Children are not disciplined. Sometimes, even if someone found you doing wrong, they will not care to, discipline you because you're not their child. So that is one tradition with the Maasai, that children belong to everybody and anyone can then discipline a child. A lot of other traditions, well, they're negative traditions, while they're good ones. One bad practice is something called female genital mutilation. This is, I don't know whether you've ever heard of that, girl circumcision. Some children are made to undergo girl circumcision, which is bad because that is inflicting pain towards children. That takes away children's lives because some girls are married off at a tender age. When, for example, you're 12, 13, some girls get married at that age, which is not good. So there are traditions that are good and bad. And us as a conservancy, we are teaching people to, the community around, to embrace those traditions that are of help to them. And anything that does not add value, we tell them to just drop it and embrace what's good for them. Welcome.
In what way does your work affect climate change?
How our work affects climate change, right? So, as we all know that climate change is hitting the universe. Things are different because, when people don't conserve nature, if people cut down trees, this means that the rain will be on the decrease. And when people burn charcoal, it means that trees are going down. So our work in relation to climate change is that what we are doing here is that we are conserving the environment, meaning that we are planting more trees, we are leaving nature as it is, we are actually protecting it so that people don't cut down trees, so that wildlife can return in big numbers, because the ecosystem is healthy with wildlife in it. The ecosystem is healthy when it's lush and green. Rivers are well taken care of if you plant trees on the bank. So our work then impacts climate change that way positively, because we are doing good to the environment, and then we will have more rain, we will have more of a green place, we will have enough space for wildlife, we will have enough space for human beings as well. So our job is impacting climate change that way.
Thank you.
Most welcome.
Well, what language do you speak?
Thank you. So, as you can, I earlier on told you that we come from a place called Maasai Mara. This is in southern Kenya. And the name Maasai Mara comes from the language we speak. We speak a language called Ma, the Ma language. So the Maasai people are named after their language, the Ma, so Maasai. Although in Kenya, once you go to school, every Kenyan who's gone to school typically speaks 3 languages. Tell him about the languages we speak.
In a normal school, yeah?
When you go to school, then what are you taught in? Just tell them a bit about the languages. English, Swahili, na Maasai kama wewe ni Maasai.
Oh, so in our schools, we are actually taught 3 different languages.
2.
One of them is English and Kiswahili. And when I come back here to Maasai Mara, I speak Ma.
Yeah, so typically in school, every subject is taught in English. Mathematics is taught in English, science is taught in English, and then there's a language which is a national language. It's called Swahili, Kiswahili. So Kiswahili is taught in Swahili, and this is the language. How you get to know a Kenyan, we all speak Swahili as a national language, and then we all have our mother tongues. We have 42 tribes in Kenya, meaning everyone then speaks their mother tongue. They speak Swahili, which is a national language, and they speak English. So most Kenyans speak 3 languages.
Thank you.
Most welcome.
You're welcome.
Perhaps you could talk to us a little bit more about some of the initiatives you take in terms of passing on the Ma language in your community.
Okay, so the initiatives taken to make sure that children speak in their Maasai language is every parent is then supposed to speak to their child while they are at home in that language. And every elder, every community person speaks to you in that language. And then old ladies, these are grannies and grandpas, people lit a big bonfire in the evening and they sit around it.
Right.
And you are told about the galaxy. They will, show you stars they will teach you that way. Like, do you know what that star is called? That is how you're taught. And then people will just have a conversation around the fire. And then the language then is passed through by speaking it. Although Maasai is also a written language.
Thank you.
Most welcome.
Amina?
Hi. Has COVID affected your lifestyle in any way?
Oh yes, Amina. The COVID pandemic I think it has touched on everybody and anyone around the world. And I will give you a story about this particular area that we come from, Maasai Mara. Maasai Mara, the main economic activity is tourism. You see, tourists will come from far and wide. They will come from Canada, Toronto, Quebec, name them all, they'll come from America. And so Maasai Mara is a touristic place because of the wildlife in it, because of the Maasai culture. People want to come and learn, people want to come and see, you know, amazing sunsets, you know, it's a wide open savanna. So when COVID became a pandemic, tourism came to a standstill.
Are you seeing that your model of conservation being modeled elsewhere, or is it gaining traction in other organizations, or is it gaining some kind of spotlight?
Yeah, absolutely. You see, as I told you earlier on that, you know, when you talk, when people talked of conservation, they thought of vast land, big land without, you know, people in it, without cows in it. Now, Nashulai came in, and in the beginning, people were like, what kind of a conservation model is this? How is it possible, you know, for people to live in the same space with wildlife, with their livestock? And then 3 years down the line, they just got to know that our model works. Yet the landowners are having a full beneficiary. I mean, they're having the benefits of their land. They're living in it. Their livestock are in it. The wildlife is coexisting with them. And, you know, wildlife has returned. Before we made this space a conservancy, there were fewer animals because there were poachers. But then we came in, protected the area, put rangers into place, and now livestock, I mean, the wildlife started returning in big numbers because they realized that this is their safe space. And then there's now one big conservancy coming up. It's called the Pardamat Conservancy, and they borrowed our model. It's you know, they borrowed our model because they have seen that it has worked. They have seen that the lives of people have changed. People gave their land, they're still living in it in a responsible way. They are doing rotational grazing, and lives have changed. This model has proved to be a good one, and people are borrowing. We hope to, in fact, just recently, more people gave their land as corridors to Nashulai again. So people are bringing their land because they've seen how, you know, lives are changing and how livestock is coexisting with wildlife.
That's amazing to hear and to see. That I'm sure there are many challenges in installing this model, but that people actually see the difference, and that is changing their mindset and allowing them to become willing to take part in your initiatives.
Yeah, of course, there are challenges here and there. The Maasai people know, for example, if there were elephants in a certain route, people will communicate around and say, as you go to the shopping center, as you go to other villages, try and avoid this route. And then that way they will get to where they're going. Although the challenges, for example, like human wildlife conflict, it's not very common, but sometimes people get knocked by, you know, wild animals, which is a challenge in itself. Another challenge is, you know, getting people, convincing people to come together, give up their land for conservation. So there are challenges, and there are, you know, the good aspects and the challenges as we move forward.
Hi again. So I have one last question for you. Do you have any advice for people who want to do work like yours?
Yes. I have some advice for people who are, you know, looking into doing a job like mine, or people who are looking into changing the narrative and changing the world. I just know that the advice for me is that follow your heart, do what you think is the right thing. For as long as you have passion, be passionate about what you're doing, keep doing what you want to do. And within a very short time, you will get the results, because we are 5 years now since we began conservation, yet a lot has changed. So I just like to tell people to follow their heart and to change their world, because the possibilities and the how is all on our hands.
All right, so thank you, Margaret, Lemara, and everyone at Kells for the great discussion and for all the things that we learned today. Thank you, Oboot, for listening to this interview. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can hear about upcoming sessions with other change makers. Please also tell your friends about Oboot and share social media links with them. And last but not least, go to oboot.co to learn about opportunities to collect digital badges and help us draw down carbon.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks.